Hello everybody and welcome back. Thank you very much for joining me. Today we're going to have a look at a Pembrokeshire area of the UK, and particularly the Clay Lane area. As there are strange accounts down there of people being shadowed through the woods and shadowy human shapes with long arms and legs. A young man using the Clay Lanes area of Pembrokeshire one night to go jogging said that while running, he thought he heard an animal running alongside him, matching him pace for pace next to him in the hedge. He said that such things did not normally concern him, but as he ran, he realised that this animal was not only quite large due to the noise it was making, but also it was very near him and deliberately keeping up the pace with him. Now, the gentleman decided to sprint the last stretch of the road and headed up to the comforting light of Merlin's Bridge. And when he reached St. Mark's School and looked behind him, he saw peering back at him from the darkness a pair of large golden eyes. Now the eyes blinked and then vanished. Was this just a curious unknown animal, or a shadowing creature concealing itself in the bushes and shrubs alongside the roadside? Also on the same road as a possible shadowing creature are a number of strange accounts. Now most of the accounts were sent into the Pembrokeshire Paranormal blog and are reported as shadowy ghosts. Mr. Taylor wrote into the blog to explain his situation when using Clay Lanes on a holiday excursion. Mr. Taylor stated, "We visited Pembrokeshire many times over the years, and Pembrokeshire is one of my favourite destinations, and we have family in Saundersport with whom we stay. I am familiar with the area, but I'd not visited Haverfordwest Castle. My wife and two daughters enjoyed our trip to Haverfordwest very much, and we took the Clay Lane Road to the Pembroke Road to continue our trip. It was not late at all, it was maybe 8 p.m, and it was on that road that we travelled up a steep hill and down onto a country road. On our right was a field with what appeared to be a ruined church, which upon research was an old house, Harrelstone House. I was tempted to get out and grab a picture of the ruin when my wife shouted at me to slow down, and in the road was the figure of a person. I stopped my wife and my two children, and we watched a blurry figure walk from the middle of the road and disappear into a gap in the hedge from left to right. Now the figure was very tall, and it was definitely in front of us. There was no discernible features, just a blurry outline of a very tall figure, over 6 feet, maybe taller. You could see the arm swinging as it walked. It was not dirt on the windscreen or shadows cast by trees or an ordinary person just crossing the road. It was none of those things. There was an actual shadowy object crossing the road. It was very unsettling, and my children, particularly the youngest, was very upset by the sighting. I'm not one for the paranormal, but to see something like this in the daylight with my family has obviously opened my mind up to such things. I'm ashamed to admit that I did not get out of the car to see where it had gone, and the incident happened so quickly that I did not even think to get a photograph. A little further along Clay Lane is an account from the Paranormal Chronicles website, headed up by investigator Gavin Davis, who has received 3 reports from motorists claiming to have seen a ghost running across a well-used road, the A4076, which connects Milford Haven to Haverfordwest. The road, which runs through Johnston, has been a hive of strange encounters that now puts Clay Lane as one of the potentially most haunted roads in Pembrokeshire. Now, the first report of strange activity came from 2 ladies who were travelling towards Haverfordwest on February the 5th at approximately 7:30 in the evening. The driver stated that they were heading towards Dredgeman's Hill when a dark shadow ran in front of the car. The lady described the figure as a shadowy human shape with long arms and legs, said Mr. Davis. She said that it was so sudden and she was so shocked that she slammed on the brakes thinking she was going to run over a person, but the shadowy shape vanished. She believes that the figure had not made it to the other side of the road and it was a blink or miss it experience. Mr. Davis said 4 days later, women were travelling to work in Haverfordwest from Milford when they had a similar experience. This time this was outside of Staton, Milford Haven, just after 6 a.m. Both ladies wished to remain anonymous due to their profession. They both stated that after the traffic lights and past a well-known pub in the area, they saw a tall, shadowy figure on the right-hand side of the road as you travelled to Haverfordwest. They said it's not uncommon to see people on the side of the road, as there are many workers up at that time of day waiting for lifts, and they took no further notice other than how tall the figure was. As they continued their drive, they claimed the tall figure darted out across the road at an astonishing speed and disappeared back into the hedges. The driver slammed on her brakes, expecting to have hit someone or something. Now, the passenger left the car and there was no evidence of an accident or of a person or an animal on the road anywhere near the car. They continued their journey both confused and shaken up. And when they safely arrived at their workplace, they told a senior colleague of their experience. The colleague casually told them that it was a common occurrence and well-known paranormal hotspot, and others had seen a strange figure on that spot also. The ladies have said that since the event they have not witnessed any further activity, but they are very mindful on their morning journey that there is something not quite right with that part of the road. Another person contacted Mr. Davis with this account. My colleague and I were working nights and driving from Milford to Haverfordwest. It was about 2 a.m. and we were just approaching Johnston. As we did, I saw a very tall, lanky, dark figure run straight across the road into the hedge. We stopped and got torches, etc., but there was nowhere it could have gone. It literally disappeared into the hedge. Some paramedics then stopped and told us about the road being haunted. The figure had long arms, long legs, and ran very quickly. Now, as you travel down Clay Lane, you'll come across the ruins of a 13th century mansion of Harrelstone. It is this stretch of road by the footpath entrance to the ruins that is said to cause the most alarm. Over a dozen witnesses' accounts have described an overpowering sense of dread while walking the road late at night. They've experienced a sense that the night is enclosing in on them, that it becomes unnaturally cold, and some claim that they've heard their names called from the blackness. On September the 14th, 2018, at approximately 10 p.m, 2 people in a car reportedly witnessed a very odd anomaly and reported it to the Pembroke Paranormal blog. At 10 p.m, I and a friend were driving down Clay Lanes from Merlin's Bridge side of the road. Not far along the road, we saw a big, bright, white light, probably the size of a beach ball, about 30 feet in front of the car. It was on the left side of the road, on a right-hand bend, and it just disappeared into the hedge. There was no glare, as it was a torch, etc. It was just a ball of light. There was no opening in the hedge for a person to have stood in there either. When we got home, we checked the dashcam footage, and for some reason it hadn't recorded the light event. It was far too bright not to have been picked up on camera, so I don't understand what the problem could have been. We slowed down where we saw the light coming from, and there was nothing there at all. It was barely past St. Mark's School, and we were just at the beginning of Clay Lane when it got completely dark, after the houses on the Merlin side bridge of the road. We even turned round at the little right-hand turn lane a little further on to keep trying to find an explanation, but there was nothing to explain any of this. The light didn't correlate with coming from anywhere but the road. My friend and I both vape, so we had the windows open, and there was no sound whatsoever. I shut the windows and locked the door quickly after that. The light that we saw wasn't in the sky. It was in a person shape. A person's head height, if that makes sense. When we watched the video back, you hear me saying, "What was that?" Then my friend said, "I don't know." We see in the video that he slows right down at the exact point we saw it, and there was nothing. It recorded the car drive, but not the light itself. And as I mentioned, it was far too bright not to have been picked up. All I had was a really bad headache afterwards, but to be honest, I was in shock and seeing that, and it's hard to know if I brought that headache on myself and getting worked up. The statement too, this is the other person in the car. I experienced a strange experience when driving with a friend close to Merlin's Bridge. This was around 10:15 at night. I put my lights on, the main beam, and as we got around the first corner from Merlin's Bridge side to Haverfordwest, there was a floating ball of light about the size of a football, on the passenger side of the road, about 10 feet in front of us. We could see it was clear as day. We both noticed it, and thinking it was a torch or something, I slowed down, and the light went sideways left into the hedge. It was a full hedge with no gap, so it couldn't have been a person. I'm still in shock, to be honest. We turned around and headed back and did the route again and saw nothing. We went back to my house and looked at the website, and seeing the two reports of the white light in the exact same location, we were shaking and had goosebumps. I have a dash cam and I looked at the footage, but wherever it was had not shown up on my recording. I don't know what this is, but being a bit sceptical, I'm excited to find out. Well, so am I. I've been looking at this story for a number of years now, and I have asked before, but do you know this area at all? Or do you know of any strange occurrences around the Clay Lane area? If you do, please get in touch, because I'd love to know more. There's this very strange photograph that appeared on the blog, and to be honest, I cannot make out this figure anywhere in it, but that's not new for me, and my eyes are absolutely terrible. But there seems to be something going on around the Clay Lanes area of Pembrokeshire. I don't have any Bigfoot or Wildman accounts in that area, or a dogman or werewolf, or anything like that, and this seems to be the only clump of paranormal activity in that area that I know of, but you may know differently. So please get in touch. So until next time, thank you very much for joining me. Good night.